Good morning, everybody. I should be giving you hope. I am neither the people creating our products nor the people selling them. They are way smarter than I am. I'm just here to talk about them. I love our products. If you've been listening since the beginning, Lisa and I were discussing my background in science. So this idea of panhandling for student interest applies, very closely to my past, where I'm a late bloomer mentally and kind of emotionally, and I realized I didn't really know what I wanted to do until like the second year of college. And um, sports, I always seemed to be at my best, at the end of my tenure in that sport. So it was always kind of like I was always lagging behind, except in middle school when I met my earth science teacher. Um, I was somebody who was always very high energy. I always had something to say. I was that disruptive child. I was very nice. I never was like cursing or throwing spitballs or anything, but I always like had something to say, like that kid, like the neutral annoyance. You're allowed to say that. NA, you can just blame it on another acronym. But I didn't really know what I was interested in, and everything was interesting. And when everything is interesting, nothing is interesting. To kind of give you a little idea of what was going on in this melon. So we're going to talk about how my teacher found what interested me, and how that plays out into a larger picture, how you can improve yourselves, things to keep in mind. If you were one of those teachers that has 1,000 things going on at once, sometimes going back to the basics helps you realize things that maybe you've had thought along the way, forgot about. You saw a word and you're like, hey, this guy is not as crazy as he seems for 9 o'clock in the morning. As I said, I represent Infobase. We are a lifelong learning solution. We have content relevant to the elementary, pre-K up to fifth. We'll get into a little bit of that today. We have content that kind of transitions from middle into high school and AP high school, and then we go into community college and higher level academics. Today we will only be covering the K-12 though. Tune in next time. You can always go to our website. I'll actually give a website link where you can go to find a whole bunch of free resources that Infobase makes available out to teachers, educators, facilitators, administrators. If I was better at rhyming, I could add a few more on there, but you get the idea. We really try to give materials that help a larger context, thought leadership style, white papers, case studies, to promote information sharing. And you never stop learning. We hope you never stop learning. When you're young, you're a sponge. When you're old, you get to be selective. You have to choose what things you want to focus on, but you should always have a curiosity and an interest. Infobase has two main platforms. We have a media cloud, which represents our 80 years of publishing. We were publishing before publishing was publishing. We used to provide 3-ring binder updates out to diligent individuals who maintained these binders. There's a really cool picture of Walter Cronkite, arguably the most trusted man ever. I'll just generalize. With facts on file binders over his shoulder on his bookshelf, fact checking. We are very proud of the fact that we have been neutral, unbiased. We have been forthright with information. We tried to make it as easy as you can. We've been doing this for a long time. We're excited about that. The other end of it is Infobase Learning Cloud. These are this is a self-paced, self-assess. You can track progress in these. These are learning software skills. These are learning classroom engagement skills. These are how to improve your digital learning environment of your own class and whatever you're doing. How can you improve on that? What are some different ideas for you to use? Social and emotional learning, de-stressing, which is super important to teachers nowadays. I like the analogy, life, a bodyguard, a lifesaver, the guy at the beach who sits in the, whatever they're called. They can't save you if they're also drowning. If you need to take time for yourself to make sure that you can help others. And being a teacher is neither easy nor not stressful. Lifeguard, thank you. Thank you, audience. I appreciate that. When you have those moments, the memory's the last thing to go. I just can't remember the first 4. So the Learning Cloud gets into a lot of that self-paced, self-assessed professional development. Great stuff there too. We won't be getting into too much of that today. When you're panhandling for interest, the important factor is engagement, right? So you can use one thing and it applies 90% of the time. But how effective is that 90%? The tough thing is to differentiate, to trade up what you do in class, to try to engage different students or different learning styles. And it's never one learning style to the complete detriment of the others. It's just sometimes there's a more dominant one. Sometimes it depends on the situation. I can provide my my PowerPoint as well. I give links to all the articles I read. It's an amazing discussion. I mean, I'm sure this is nothing new to teachers and faculty, but you know, when you're searching for engagement, you got to meet them halfway. It's kind of like lightning, right? You can have all those ion trails coming up from the ground, and you can have them all coming down from the sky, but lightning doesn't happen until those meet up, right? Lightning happens in the middle. If that's news to anybody, check out slow motion lightning YouTube videos. I mean, just it's one of those cool things in nature that's terrifying and awesome to watch at the same time. It's no mistake that that spark of inspiration that you are able to get to students works in exactly the same way. You kind of have to find where their gaze is not off to the left somewhere. They're looking at the board, they're engaged in what you're listening to, or the video that you're letting them watch, or the downloadable printable activity that you have in their hands. Are they working in groups? Does one person really like to do the research? Like you have to kind of poke and prod to see what they're interested in, to see maybe they don't even know what they're interested in yet. When I was in middle school, I did not know what I was interested in yet. And my earth science teacher this woman just loved earth science. I don't know how else to say it. And I think, when you're genuine to the topic you're teaching, if you're lucky enough to be in that field that you really and truly enjoy, a lot more comes out. It's excitement to learn, to challenge. And so students see all that. We all know that you learn however much more by watching than hearing, and it's reinforced each step along the way. But attempting to engage all these different learning styles is tough, and so that's what they bring to the table. And then, from a teaching environment, from a faculty, administrator, teacher, coach situation, you're trying to set the playing field, right? You're trying to set them up to succeed as best they can. And so this all goes into panhandling, right? Like you have to know how big of a sifter to have. You have to know what you're sifting out. You have to know where it's from. You have to have a steady supply of something. You have to set that stage. And if I think back to the teachers that I really enjoyed the most in my tenure of education, I think if I could teach now and never leave college, I would happily sit in a classroom and teach others while I got to audit other courses. I'm such a storybook person. My mom used to read to me a lot when I used to go to bed when I was younger. So I just love the idea of somebody reading it to me. I can digest. You can read. We all have our own. So the learning environments were always conducive to more than simply listening or interacting with. My favorite example is the Gawaski Cube. When I went to Rowdy University in New Jersey, I waited a year to take this man's second level history course because he was worth the wait. And shifting around some of my majors and double majors. He had this cool room, and it was nothing great. It was a standard room, but he hung pictures of different people of influence around the room, like the religious leaders and country leaders were on one, and then American presidents and major generals, and then you had I think famous engineers and scientists. And so what he would do is, as he quoted or as he referenced or as he put content, situations in context, he would point at them. And so you had a face, you had an idea, you got to put a personality to this quote. And what he was doing is he would remind us that the reason he's pointing and the reason we should look is if we are conscious in class and paying attention to what this man is trying to engage us with. He's giving you a cheat sheet for your final. He's giving you, those pictures around the room to look at and remember and to, coalesce ideas and events and quotes around. So, teachers are able to set up that environment. And this is, again, nothing new to you. But why this all comes together. So Infobase, I will use all the letters in the name actually, is very big on offering multi-asset types. We understand that engaging students in different ideas is not easy. You kind of you have a little bit of time to find out as much as you can while the student is like blinking and turning right. Like you have to find out when you connect with them. The first product we're going to go into is Learn 360. This is a multimedia asset warehouse, treasure trove. Printables, downloadables, audio, speeches. We have audio books. Full district solution. So this is your pre-K all the way through advanced placement high school. We're going to get into a little bit of World Almanac for kids. It's got the World Almanac kind of feel and tradition, but it's a little bit more digestible for students, depending on, when your very high proficiency class of students starts reading, deep books. Sometimes too many words on a page, you might lose them. So we bulleted content out. It's like they're reading through a book, but we made it a little bit more digestible. So this is going to be like your middle school, probably a little bit higher for elementary. We'll get into that a little bit. World News Digest. There is a lot of information coming at students nowadays. Just a lot of it. Real, not real, different media outlets, verified, unverified, confirmed, from people they like and know but don't know enough not to trust. The complete reverse of what I just said. So we have to teach them where to go for quality information, and we have to teach them how to question everything. Questioning is not bad. You should have questions. The only bad question is the one that's not asked. Unless you're only asking a question for the sake of asking a question, then it just feels like we're forcing participation, and that never goes well. If it's not that, then awesome. There is no wrong question. But some of the things that we do in our World News Digest database is we actually give students the ability, or even faculty, the ability to go forward as events happened, because we all know that news is subject to the data available at the time, right? There's information omitted. Sometimes it's because we don't have it. So in our articles, in our editorials, we actually give students and end users the ability to go back in time. The last time something was published on this article was 2 weeks ago. What were they saying then? Or a week before that, or 2 days before that, or following a trial, or leading up to a trial, if there's news coverage on that. Super awesome database to check out. This is more for like your high school advanced placement. And then Today's Science, which I'll always include in all of my presentations. At one point, Lisa will get tired of hearing me talk about science. She will opt to not be my moderator at the next conferences, but I love science. STEM education is so important. It's everything from helping in the kitchen. I love cooking, to walking outside and appreciating what's going on and the value of, where water might go, or what birds you have in your yard, and what insects that may or may not repel. That may be deep for people who live in the city. But the value of being able to influence your surroundings is something that is inherently human. We do that. We impact our around ourselves. And so science is just a nice base element to be aware of and to use. So I had mentioned earlier, because I hate flipping back and forth between different windows because I am apparently not good at it. I mentioned that Infobase has a lot of free resources for teachers, faculty, administrators to check out. Everything from help with grant writing. You're going to see my face again in those videos where we talk to Kelly Matthey, who we brought in to walk you through a mindset of how to do grant writing. If you are interested in doing so but have never pursued it, she gives you a nice overview. We have a nice infographic to help you through that process. If you're looking for different ways to engage your students, or you're approaching the college and career readiness, go in here, check these out. We have webinars, we have white papers, we have infographics, we have stuff. We have stuff, and it's free, and you can have it for free. We can't do more than that. Well, we can do more than that, but it would involve, showing up at your house, and nobody wants me showing up at their house. My mother-in-law even admitted that once. I think she meant well. I'm an early morning person. Not everybody is. Then we're going to go into World Almanac for Kids. Then we were going to do World News Digest, and we were going to wrap it up with Today's Science, everybody's new favorite database. If you guys write reviews, I'll expect you to write Today's Science is my new favorite database. So World Almanac for Kids has that same look and feel of the World Almanac. Again, that bulleted information. We cover tons of great featured topics. This is one of our only databases that has a dedicated designer and programmer. So this organically grows as your students use it, or wait, I'll share my screen. That's a thing. You guys, you got to speak up. I'm out here on my own doing this. Lisa's helping me. I'm not alone, Lisa. You're with me. I know that. So we'll go back to the home page. We'll start again. So same feel as the World Almanac. We were trying to bring the content out. One of the sad parts of the like, I know you're there, Lisa. I know you're there. Lisa's always listening, everybody. We really break the content into more digestible process for students. Again, this is to help them dig into a topic. This could be a research starter. This is a nice way. Life in the digital age. There are multiple, 2 generations now that are coming up through a digital age. Digital natives that grew up with devices in their hands and understanding their digital. Thank you, Robin, for your support in chat. It's good to know there are other morning people. We would usually find each other at the conferences near the coffee fountains. But helping students understand their digital footprint. and kind of how they fit into this digital world. All different kinds of topics, lots of great information. We give you games, videos, again, those multimedia asset types, homework help. If you have those students that are looking for different ways, or you have family that wants to be engaged in how students are learning, these are basic ideas that walk students through the ability of using these different skills. And it's kind of nice for a teacher or a librarian or a curriculum individual to be able to have something like this on hand. We're sure you can still go through this with the students, but they now have this to refer back to. I'll use all the letters. So again, it's a lot of great content for students to be able to come in here and search on their own. No ads, no paid for anything's in here with subscription. Graphic organizers, educational standards. You can make lesson plans in here. Ideas for science projects, science diagrams. You can hang them all around the wall. And finally, the trivia challenge, which is very similar to Jeopardy. You get to be your own cool host, or you can opt for a student to be a host. You have to choose, I think, at least 5. Oh, 3 works. So you can help students brush up on information if you're looking for fun ideas to do at the beginning of the semester or the end of the semester, if you're looking for fun day stuff while you're still learning. This is something that students can interact with on their individual devices, fun teamwork stuff. But again, if you're looking, if students engage through teamwork, that might be a really nice segue into that. We have Learn 360. This is our powerhouse. I mean, 193,000 multimedia assets, videos, games and activities, printables, speeches. There's a difference, and I'm sure we're all very keenly aware of this, of hearing the I Have a Dream speech from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and listening to a computer read it to you. It's one of those things that will be lost in time, you know, when computers read a lot of things. But you get something different from it. All of our maps and flags, most of them are generated in-house. The mailbox for those teachers that are looking for project ideas. This is more of your elementary, so this is your pre-K to 5th. For anybody who's familiar, the publication is still going on in print. We decided to skip a step and give you access online. You can go through and you can see all the different subject areas that you can hop into. If you just want a link to this page, to printables, available on your school webpage, on your class page. I mean, you might just ask your students if they're in 5th grade, go in here, find a project, you know, take a video of you doing it, you know, something like that. All different kinds of great content in here. We have extremely rich video content as well. One of the producers that I love to promote is iRock2. Go to producers, IROC2. This guy's fun, lots of energy. This guy used to be a cyber security individual at a Fortune 500 company. And what he did is he broke out to do his own kind of, I don't know if he stopped doing that or if he just does these on the side, but he actually does a really interesting online security. One of his videos talks about how social media and privacy, where he pretends to be this practicing magician, and he's going to read everybody's future, or he's going to read details about you. And so his company basically makes a web crawler, which, for if you don't know, it's just a very simple software that crawls online to find free information, coalesce it around a person. You now know more about that person than they realize they're putting online. This is all free information. There's nothing illegal here. He pinpoints the individual by their cell phone card ID. So again, you have no face, you have no name, but you have an ID number. That ID number connects to your phone. That phone can be pinged to you. So this guy walks up to a girl and he's like, oh, you know, I'm really sorry. You know, your dog just passed or whatever it is. And he's like, you know, I recently see that you bought a new house. That's cool. And she gets a little nervous. And he says, and I see that your credit card was stolen recently. And she's like, who are you? And he said, this is all information that you put for free online, just not even realizing when you were updating your status, or you were in your social media, like posting about how upset you were, or, you know, how big of a pain it was to, you know, deal with a new credit card. And so he's making people aware of all this information, this full picture of ourselves that we're giving out there for free. And we've had adults recommend this to other adults. Just be conscientious of what you're putting out there. Don't not share, but, you know, think. And so as students, this is extremely important for students who have access to a growing number of social media outlets. But I love this. I love this producer. We have so many. If I just go back really quick, I know people get tired of me clicking all around. We have hundreds hundreds of producers. LeVar Burton, old LeVar Burton, new LeVar Burton. We have Reading Rainbow, Sesame Street Electric Car, Franklin the Turtle, Reading Rainbow, already mentioned, loved it, had to say it again. You can also bring in YouTube channels if you so wish to through the admin portal. If you have like the Khan Academy or NASA, you can have their videos up on here. So a lot of great content. Fierce Females, the BBC does these kind of quick takes on fun facts throughout history. We have math videos. My mother was a math teacher for years. The one thing she said teachers would never turn away are more examples to teach with. You're always looking for more examples and more problems for students to solve, more different ways to approach topics. Learn 360 has tons of this content. World News Digest. This drops students into the middle of a boiling cauldron of facts and details and news, and we give it to you in a presentable way. So if you're looking for the most recently published articles, editorials, you can find them right here on the main page. We also give you landmark events in history, so if students are doing research, they can go back and look at them. In the news now, you can certainly pull up the latest coronavirus information. We pull in from Reuters, so we get news constantly. If your students are looking to have a larger understanding of what's going on in the world, and maybe they don't want to pick one news media outlet, Reuters is kind of known for being objective in what they cover. But again, we go back to those multimedia asset types. We're looking to engage your students in these topics in different ways. Your students might be media driven. They might be looking for different kinds of content. You can go to news media roundups, where these are really focused. I'll click on one, I'll show you. We give you this nice summary at the top. We give you a breakdown of all the other articles. So this is like a full dive into a topic. Primary sources, so we can give you more information outside of what the editorials are giving to you. And then, of course, we can give you additional information on these topics. What I wanted to show you, though, news by people, we'll choose Tom Brady. He's neutral depending on what sports team you like. What you can do in here is where articles have preceding or next in line articles. Let's see here. So if you really want, if you have a student who wanted to do a biography and they really want to dig deep into this, they have access to all of these resources through World News Digest to use in their own reports or just in their own learning. Editorial cartoons. My former boss, my former manager, he had to write a 3-page thesis paper on an editorial cartoon. What is being said? What isn't being said? Who's writing it? What's the slant? There's always a slant, even if it's a neutral slant. What information is not being said? Was this made to be funny? What was the intent? What was the tone? How much can you read into what's being presented to you? There's just so much information that you can gather from pictures. And then, of course, we give them infographics. Some students are visual learners. Maybe they will really relate to the numbers and the different graphs. So again, we try to give you that ability to break out the information in a multitude of different ways. Supreme Court team, I personally love this. I had a double major in law, and I love the ability to go through, most importantly, the cases. Because in law, the fun thing about law, and I heavily, endorse this idea when teaching students inquiry, law is never right or wrong. There's a precedent, right? There is certainly a majority opinion and a dissenting opinion, but even the dissenting decision set a precedent for further action, like it's building blocks. And one of my favorite lines that I heard in a song recently was that universal truth is not measured in mass appeal. Simply because a court case was decided at a certain time doesn't mean that it's going to hold true throughout time. Time is the real test of things that are put in motion. And so helping your students understand not only what the majority decision was, but the dissenting and what points were brought up and established there as well. It's when your students are ready to digest a lot of information, because I could tell you that in middle school, I was not ready for this. But in looking back on it now, the value of being able to understand where the information is coming from. So if court cases are being referenced in news articles, in different cartoons, I know Schoolhouse Rock is notorious for dropping, court case names in there slyly. It's really neat. And we try to give you the ability to do all the fun things. You can cite it, you can share it. Most of our articles, all of our articles come with direct URLs that you can link to. You can link right to Google Classroom if that's what you're using, and embed this content right into those sources. You can also limit the amount of information that you have on the page. Let's say you only want to look at things, in the past 20 years. Let's look up beetle. Is beetle in the news in the past 20 years? Here you go. So neutral enough. So you can have students read through, it looks like the Volkswagen Beetle is or the carpet beetle. But you get the idea. We try to give you a lot of content. This deals with what information that's going on in the news. So anything that can help students kind of digest that information and kind of find a true source is always helpful. And lastly, but not least, my favorite, thank you everybody for sticking around. Today's science is amazing. This is really a kind of upper middle school into high school, maybe a little AP high school. I think an 8th grader could read this. We give in article glossary terms to help students get through that. If they don't need it, they can certainly turn it off. But you never want to be held up with one word. No hurdles. We only try to make slip and slides here. We go through painstaking effort to bring in very engaging pictures so that students kind of get an idea of what they're looking at. It walks them through all kinds of different ideas within this topic, and then it also leads off with discussion questions. So if you have students doing research along this topic, and they would ask the question inevitably, where do I go from here? Which is the question you want them to ask, but you want them to earn that answer because you don't want to be a crutch. You want to be a guide, always pointing fingers in a good direction, never at people. We give you discussion questions to maybe bring this discussion out of the article, maybe entice students to do additional research, maybe give you a stepping point into back into your lesson, or maybe into a next lesson down the road, or one that you had recently done. We also give you links to all of the original articles, so that if you as a facilitator of this information or a student is additionally interested in digging deeper into this content, we give you the ability to do that. Don't let us be the only stop. Just know that we are a great first stop. We're always looking to give you that additional information to be able to go out and do more with this. We also give you related articles, so students can stick within, or faculty members can stick within the context of the article and still skip around. We also do these wonderful conversations with scientists where we really get into the human element of what scientists are going through and what they are dealing with in the field, how they became a scientist. These are all proprietary questions. These are proprietary interviews. We reach out to thousands of scientists. I'm going to say hundreds a month. As we come across their articles, as we come across their research, we want their story and them to be a part of what is being told about these topics. Understanding how somebody wound up in the science field, what they went through, what they felt. These are questions that you won't normally get in articles. What led them down this pathway? You never know where that human element extended to a student might really make or break that student's interest in the topic. And so we have hundreds of these interviews that are just absolute gold when you think about the influence that you can now, again, put a face and a context to the information being learned. Sometimes you just need to see a smiley face to make a smiley face, We do video news briefs. So if you're looking to, I'm going to be careful on this one. Never do anything for the first time in a presentation. American Gut Project. I'm not going to play the video. You get a nice description here. It's a nice 2-minute, 20-second video. If you want the transcript, which is searchable, let's say you're looking for the word antibodies. Antibody in there? No. Do I win the prize for choosing the word that's not in here? I'll just look up bodies. So you can see here that bodies is immediately highlighted, and that you can just skip right to that if you wanted to. It's a short video, so there's not too much involved. You can also download all of our content, at least the transcript. And so you can use these video briefs to introduce a topic or to reinforce a topic if you want students to just have some more visuals for what you're already teaching. We do crossword puzzles, so each of our articles has accompanying crossword puzzles that come with it. Oh, again, don't do things for the first time. So We focus on getting the article content to you first, and then we typically bring the ancillary content around it. So if you were looking for different crossword puzzles, Logi's Castle, you actually get the article that this links to. So you can have the students read the article, and then as a follow-up to that article, maybe this is where you test them a little bit. You can give them this cool crossword puzzle to follow up on to see if they want to build vocabulary this way rather than remembering it or writing it down or typing it out. They can each interact with it. I can type all the wrong things. And they could just do a screenshot. All of your students could actually use this at the same time and not interfere with each other, and then just take a screenshot afterwards. They can check all their own answers for better or worse. They can reveal it, you know. So maybe you just have them print it out and do it that way, but you get the idea. I did not type that, so I like that it gave me credit for that. So what we always try to offer are the bat belt, the tools to use the content, right? So again, in that idea of engaging, different research topics, conversations with scientists, curriculum tools. How do you use an editorial cartoon? How are you going to analyze a primary source? How to use conversations with scientists. So these are all great resources, and we all have tons of time to do the extra work to find out how best to soft touch this idea into a student's mind to love it. But how to write a research paper, these are all processes. Our editors love what they do, and our services are extensions of that passion. They actually really enjoy, love what they do. So we provide these curriculum tools to give an extension of how to use this content. How to discuss an editorial cartoon, how to conduct an experiment, assigning crossword puzzles. If you're just looking for a nice bridge on how, these are great. How do I use them? What do I do with it? These curriculum tools are really put here to help in supporting how to use the content in here. So we don't want to just give you amazing content, which sounds loaded, but we want to give you the ability to use that. You can certainly go through all of the topics as well. If you want to sit down with students, maybe if you have one-on-one time with them, you can go through the different topics. Maybe they want to focus on the environment. Maybe they want to dig into ecology is my favorite of all. The fact that everything is connected. You can talk about that socially, financially, based on location, based on species. Everything's connected. You remove one thing, everything adjusts, and so on. But having students understand that interconnectivity and how, if you don't like the frogs, you're going to have more bugs. It's just the way it is. You got to explain these things. Toads are sometimes icky, but bugs, they sting. You got to choose. You have to choose a side. So we really try to give you the ability to not only go through this content, but give you ways to go through it that best fit your needs. If you happen to be going through next generation science standards, obviously you're going to be in science. Let's say you want to focus on 9th grade. You can now search for content by standard. Once the little laser light show on the right here is done, it's searching through a lot of content. What this is nice about is it will give you standards. So if you have pacing guides, if you have set standards that you need to address in certain times of the year, we try to give you the ability to quickly sort through. I'm not going to have us all sit here and look at laser light shows, but you get the idea. And so again, are there any questions really quickly? I know that everyone listening to my pontification on science. I will quickly go back to my PowerPoint here and leave you with all the fun free things that we would love for you to take advantage of and use. So again, Infobase provides free tools and resources on our website. Please feel free to come to this website here at the top. Completely free. All you must do is find it and click and enjoy it. We do a lot of fun stuff in there. We're always looking for feedback. Thank you everybody for joining me today. I appreciate your time. I hope you enjoy the rest of your West Virginia State Tech Conference. If anything I said jived with you, if you liked it, you didn't like it, please let me know. Greg Ricci at infobase.com. I hope everybody has a great day. Lisa also posted in chat. They're always looking for feedback as well. The sad voice is the one that's not heard. I wish I could say I quoted that from somebody. Everybody have an awesome rest of your day. I hope you enjoy the rest of your conference. And thank you again for sitting in and listening today. Everybody take care.